Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host for today.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so happy to have you with us again. Whether you're learning English as a beginner or just trying to become more fluent, you're in the right place.
In today's episode, we're talking about something that happens to every English learner forgetting words while speaking.
Oh yes, it happens all the time. You're in the middle of a conversation and suddenly your mind goes blank. The word is on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't remember it.
Exactly. And guess what? That's totally normal. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. So today, we're going to help you understand why this happens and what you can do in the moment when it does.
We'll also share practical tips, real examples, and fun ways to stay calm and confident even when you forget a word. By the end of this episode, you'll have a toolkit you can use in any speaking situation.
So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into this very helpful and very real topic, what to do when you forget words while speaking. You know, Julia, I still remember a moment a few years ago when I completely forgot the word umbrella during a conversation in the middle of a heavy rainstorm.
Oh no, what happened?
I was visiting London, and it suddenly started pouring. I ran into a small shop and wanted to ask the man at the counter if they sold umbrellas. But guess what? I totally blanked. I could see the umbrella in my mind. I knew what it looked like, but I just couldn't remember the word.
So what did you do?
I ended up saying, "Do you sell the thing that blocks the rain?" And I pointed upward. The man smiled and said, "You mean an umbrella?" And I was like, "Yes, that's the word." We both laughed. It was a little embarrassing at first, but it turned into a friendly moment.
That's such a great example. I've had similar moments too. Once during a presentation in university, I completely forgot the word environment. I tried so hard to remember, but it just disappeared. So I said, the world around us, nature, people, air, water, and kept going.
That's smart. You described the word instead of stopping. And that's a great strategy we'll talk more about today.
Exactly. These kinds of moments happen to all of us, and it doesn't mean you're bad at English. It just means you're human. What matters is how you handle it.
Yes, and today, we'll share exactly how to do that, step by step.
So now that we've shared some real stories, let's talk about why this actually happens. Why do we forget words, especially when we really need them?
Great question. First of all, forgetting words is a normal part of language learning. In fact, even native English speakers forget words sometimes, especially when they're nervous or tired.
That's true. One common reason is anxiety. When you feel nervous, maybe you're speaking in front of someone new or trying to speak perfectly, your brain can sort of freeze and the words just disappear.
Exactly. Your brain goes into stress mode and it becomes harder to think clearly. It's like the word is in your head, but there's a block stopping it from coming out.
Another reason is that you're still building your vocabulary. When we learn new words, they don't always stay in our long-term memory right away. If you haven't used a word enough times, it's easier to forget it.
Yes, and sometimes learners try to speak too quickly. When you speak faster than you think, you might lose track of the words you need.
That's a great point. And sometimes it's not about vocabulary at all. Maybe you're just tired, or your brain is processing too much information at once, especially if you're switching between languages.
Right. It happens to me when I'm learning Spanish. I know the word, I've studied it, but in conversation, poof, it's gone.
So if you're listening right now and this happens to you, don't worry, you're not alone. And the good news is there are easy ways to handle it, and we're going to talk about those next.
Stick with us, because we're just getting started. All right, now that we know why we forget words, Let's talk about when it usually happens. Because if we understand the situations that cause it, we can be better prepared next time.
Absolutely. One very common situation is during introductions or interviews. You want to sound smart and confident, but suddenly your brain freezes and simple words just disappear.
Yes, like you want to say what your hobby is or where you're from, and you forget something basic. That pressure makes it worse.
Another situation is during a phone call, especially in English. Without body language or visual clues, it can be harder to think of the right words.
Good point. Also, people often forget words when they're trying to explain something complicated like giving directions, talking about their job, or sharing an opinion.
And let's not forget classroom situations when a teacher asks a question and everyone's watching you. That nervous feeling can make even simple vocabulary hard to remember.
Exactly. And the emotions that come with it, embarrassment, frustration, feeling not good enough, can really lower your confidence.
Yes, and it's so important to say this, you are not alone. These emotions are completely normal. And forgetting a word doesn't mean you're bad at English, it just means you're in the middle of learning.
And sometimes those emotions are even stronger when you're talking to a native speaker, right?
Oh yes, you might feel shy or afraid of making mistakes, but the truth is, most native speakers are very understanding when you forget a word. They've been there too in other languages.
So just to sum up, common situations include job interviews, phone calls, class discussions, or deep conversations, and common feelings are nervousness, panic, or self-doubt.
But don't worry, right after the break, we'll talk about exactly what you can do in those moments when the word just disappears.
Stay with us. We've got practical tips coming up next. Now let's get into the heart of today's episode. What can you actually do when you forget a word while speaking English?
We've got 7 smart, simple, and very effective things you can do. These tips are used by both English learners and fluent speakers in real conversations.
Let's start with the first one.
If you forget the exact word, just use a similar one. For example, if you forget the word angry, you can say mad or upset.
Yes. Even if it's not a perfect match, people will still understand your meaning. The goal is to keep the conversation going, not to be perfect. This is one of my favorites. Let's say you forget the word hospital. You can say, the place where sick people go.
Exactly. Describe it. Use short, clear phrases. What it does, how it looks, where it is. People will understand and often they'll say the word for you. If you're talking face-to-face, use your hands. Show the shape, size, or action. If you forget the word phone, pretend to hold one to your ear.
It helps a lot. Communication is more than just words. Body language can fill in the blanks. Sometimes all you need is a second to remember the word. Don't panic, just pause. You can say, or let me think, or even, what's the word?
Yes, native speakers do this all the time. It gives your brain a moment to catch up without stopping the conversation. You can ask the other person, what's the word for? Or how do you say? This shows you're trying and open to learning.
People usually love to help, and it turns the moment into a friendly learning opportunity instead of something embarrassing. Many learners say, sorry, my English is bad, when they forget a word. But don't do that. You're learning, and that's something to be proud of.
Yes, just smile. Stay calm and move on. Focus on what you can say, not what you forgot. Keep going with confidence. This one's a little unusual, but really powerful. Practice forgetting. Choose a word, pretend you forget it, and then try to describe it or use a synonym.
That's like building a real-life skill. It trains your brain to think flexibly, so when it happens in real conversation, you know exactly what to do.
Let's quickly repeat the 7 smart things you can do when you forget a word. 1. Use a synonym. 2. Describe the word. 3. Use gestures. 4. Pause and use fillers. 5. Ask for help. 6. Keep going with confidence. 7. Practice forgetting on purpose.
These tips are not just for beginners. They're used by intermediate and even advanced learners to sound natural and fluent.
So next time you forget a word, don't panic. Just choose one of these tips and keep the conversation flowing.
Up next, we'll talk about how you can train your brain to forget less often in the future. All right, so we've talked about what to do in the moment when you forget a word. But how about preparing ahead of time? How can you practice so that this happens less often?
Great question. Let's go over some smart and fun ways to train your brain so you're more confident and fluent during real conversations. Take 5 random objects around your house like a spoon, a book, or a pair of shoes. Now, without saying the object's name, describe it.
For example, instead of saying book, you can say it's something you read. It has pages. People use it to learn or for fun.
Exactly. This trains your brain to explain ideas, not just memorize words.
Choose a situation. Maybe you're at the doctor, in a restaurant, or meeting a new friend. Then, practice talking as if you're really there.
And if you forget a word during role play, great. That's your chance to practice using one of the 7 strategies we shared earlier. Listen to short podcasts or dialogues. Pause after each sentence, then repeat it out loud. Try to copy the tone, rhythm, and speed.
This helps you build confidence and muscle memory, so words come to you more naturally when you speak. Pick a word, then quickly think of 3 to 5 words related to it. For example, coffee. You might say cup, hot, morning, cafe.
This kind of game helps your brain build connections between words, making it easier to remember them later. Choose a topic, talk for 1 minute, and record yourself. If you get stuck, don't stop, describe the word or use gestures.
Later, listen and notice how you handled the moment. Over time, you'll see real progress and build speaking confidence.
Remember, practice doesn't mean being perfect. It means getting comfortable with imperfection and learning how to keep going.
That's the key. The more you practice these exercises, the more automatic your speaking becomes, even if you forget a word once in a while.
Coming up next, we'll give you some encouraging final thoughts to help you stay confident and motivated.
Stick around, we're almost there. Before we end today's episode, we want to remind you of something very important.
Yes, listen closely. It's okay to forget words. It happens to everyone, even native English speakers.
Absolutely. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "What's that word again?" Or "I'm blanking right now"? It's totally normal.
Forgetting a word doesn't mean your English is bad. It just means you're human. You're learning, you're growing, and your brain is doing its best.
And the fact that you're trying to speak in English even when it's uncomfortable is something to be proud of.
So next time you forget a word, don't say, "I'm sorry, my English is terrible."